Today we will discuss about the scalp. Anteriorly, the scalp which is extend up to the what is scalp? Soft tissue covering to the cranial vault. It is called the scalp, and it is a 5 layers: skin, connective tissue, epicranial aponeurosis, loose arrow tissue, and pericranium. Anteriorly, it extend up to the superciliary arch, and laterally it is extend up to the superior temporal line. Here you can see this is a superior temporal line. So laterally it extend up to the superior temporal line on each side, and posteriorly it extend up to the superior knuckle line. So here you can see this is external external occipital protuberance, and here you can see this line. It is called the superior knuckle line. This is the inferior knuckle line, and this is the highest knuckle line. So posteriorly it extend up to the superior knuckle line. So the scalp, it is a soft tissue which is covering to the cranial vault. It is called the scalp. It is a 5 layers: skin, connective tissue, epicranial aponeurosis, loose arrow tissue, and pericranium. So anteriorly it extend up to the superciliary arch on each sides, upper part of the orbit. It is and the forehead part, the skin over the forehead part, this portion of the forehead part, the skin which is involved inside the face, and also it is included inside the scalp. Now we will discuss about the first layer. This is the first layer of the scalp. It is the skin, and the skin have a abundant amount of the hair and sebaceous gland, as well as sweat glands which is present inside the scalp. So the first layer, it is the skin. It contains the abundant amount of the hair. Here we have removed the hair from the scalp, and it also presence of the sweat and sebaceous gland. The skin of the scalp, it is thick with the hair and sweat glands, which maintains the temperature, while the helpful to maintain the temperature, while the sebaceous gland, which secretes the keeps the oily secretions. And whenever there is a sebaceous gland which is blocked, at that time it is called the seborrhea. Excessive secretions of the sebaceous gland, it is called the seborrhea, or whenever it is the block, it is called the block. It lead to there is a formations of the cyst. It is called the sebaceous cyst. So scalp, it is the rich blood supply, and normally the avulse portion should not be cut, and we will normally we will replace it, and it is heal up well. Take up and heal up well. Second layer, it is a connective tissue. Here you can see this is we can reflect the skin here. This is the mirror image of the vein. Here you can see this is a vein which is passes inside the second layer. It is called the connective tissue. So we have removed the second layer. It is a connective tissue, and this connective tissue, which is bounded by the lobules of fat, but it is a microscopic structure. It is difficult to see. So it divide into the so many lobules. So whenever there is any subcutaneous hemorrhage, which is occur inside the second layer, it is the never extensive, and it is the little swelling, but it is very painful because of the it divide by the fibrous septa. Second thing, whenever there is this vein which is caught because of injury, at that times artery or veins which is injured at that place, it is not not retract, and it is failure to lumen failure to retract, and inside the adherent to the connective tissue, so it does not retract. Normally whenever there is a injury to the artery, it is separated and it is retracted, and the blood which is stopped. But in this side there is so many fibrous septa, so it is not retracted, and it is retained straight, and it lead to there is a profuse bleeding, and this profuse bleeding will be stopped by two pressings the thumbs against the bone of the scalp, you have to stop the bleeding. Here you can see this is the first layer, it is the skin, and this red it is the second layer, this is the second layer of the scalp, and it is divided by this red color, it is the fibrous septa. And here you can see this is a blue color, it is a vein. This second layer vein which is connecting to the fourth layer, and fourth layer which is connecting through the emissary vein which is connecting intracranially. So whenever there is a injury to the second layer, this layer there is a blood vessels which is not retracted because of this fibrous septa. So it retained straight, and it led to there is a profuse bleeding, and it is stopped by the pressing the thumbs against the bones. And the first layer we already see there is a lots of hair follicles, and also inside the skin there is a also presence of the sweat and sebaceous gland. Sebaceous gland, when it is excessive secretion, it is called the seborrhea. Whenever there is it is blocked, it lead to the cyst. And also sebaceous gland which secretes the oily secretion, while the sweat glands which is helpful for the maintain the temperature. Now third layer, it is the epicranial aponeurosis. Here you can see this is the epicranial aponeurosis. Now the third layer, it is the epicranial aponeurosis, and this epicranial aponeurosis, it contains there are two muscles. Anteriorly it is called the frontalis muscles, and it is arise from the skin of the eyebrows. Here there is a skin over the eyebrows, and root of the nose, it gives the origin of the frontalis muscle, and it is goes posteriorly. So the epicranial aponeurosis which is actually attached start from the start at the coronal sutures. So this frontalis bellis which is merged inside the epicranial aponeurosis at the level of the coronal sutures, and the medial portion of the epicranial aponeurosis which extend up to the root of the nose. But on each side there is a frontalis bellis, and it is a very thin layer over the frontalis bellis. Posteriorly it gives there is a occipital bellis which gives the origin of the superior knuckle line. Here you can see this is the superior knuckle lines, and these superior knuckle lines lateral two-thirds of the superior knuckle lines, and the muscles which goes forward. So the epicranial aponeurosis normally which is very thick into the central part, and remaining part like frontal bellis and occipital bellis, there is epicranial aponeurosis which is very thin. So it is very thin. So the anteriorly it extend up to the coronal sutures, laterally it extend up to the superior temporal line, and it becomes continuous as a zygomatic fascia up to it attached to the zygomatic arch. So it becomes continuous as a it extend up to the superior temporal line. Laterally it extend up to the superior temporal line, and then it covers to the temporalis. It becomes continuous as a temporal fascia, and it is attached to the zygomatic arch. And posteriorly it is attached to the highest nuchal lines and external occipital protuberance. So the epicranial aponeurosis, it is the third layer. Here we have reflected this is the first layer. This is a skin. Here you can see this is a mirror image of the vein. It is a second layer. It lies inside the connective tissue. This is a second layer, and here you can see this we have reflect. This is the third layer, and it is very strength comparatively. It is not whenever you can even pull. It is a very firm. It is a epicranial aponeurosis. This is the epicranial aponeurosis. And the fourth layer, we have got the fourth layer here, but I will show you. This is a loose area tissue. Here I will introduce. This is the fourth layer, and this fourth layer which is the loose area tissue, and this loose area tissue here you can see it is the which gives the opening of the. This is the fourth layer. It is the loose area tissue, and this loose area tissue it is the dangerous layer of the scalp, and this because the emissary veins extracranially it is open inside the loose area tissue, and intracranially it is open inside the sinuses, mainly into the superior sagittal sinus or sigmoid sinuses. Here you can see this is a vein which is open inside the fourth layer. So the whenever any injury inside the scalp, there is a hemorrhage inside the fourth layer. It may be goes through the emissary vein, and it lead to there is a it compress the brain by the blood which is goes intracranially by the through the emissary vein. So that's why the fourth layer it is called the dangerous layer of the scalp, and this is the fifth layer. It is called the pericranium. This is the fifth layer. It is the pericranium which is covering to the bone of the scalp, and it is normally it is the shape of the bone. Wherever there is a suture which is goes inside, and it becomes the endocranium, so it covers to the inner side of the bones. So normally fifth layer it is a shape of the bones like this parietal bone. It is a quadrangular. So this pericranium which is goes through the sutures and it becomes cover to the inner side, it is a fifth layer. So whenever there is a hemorrhage inside the fourth layer, the swelling which is entirely occur inside the scalp, while injury underneath to the fifth layer, it is the shape of the bones, because the pericranium which is goes inside intracranially, it is called the cephal hematoma. It is called the whenever there is a collection of the blood under the fifth layer, it is called the cephal hematoma. Whenever there is a collections of the blood into the fourth layer, it is the entirely present inside the scalp, and it is also called the septic valve hematoma. Whenever there is any injury, car accident or any injury to the brain, intracranial hemorrhage, anything which occurs, it lead to there is a initially it does not compress the brain, and the whatever the blood which is come out through the emissary vein into the fourth layer, and till up to the pull up of the fourth layer, there is no compressions of the brain. It is called the septic valve hematoma. So this is the advantage of the loose area tissue. So whenever there is a increase the intracranial tension inside, there is a blood which is come out through the outer layer inside the fourth layer and reduce the pressure. But disadvantage of the loose area tissue, whenever there is any infection inside the second layer, even though it can spread into the fourth layer, and fourth layer infection spread into the intracranially via the emissary veins. So this is about to the 5 layer of the scalp. Once again I will revise the 5 layer of the scalp. You can see this is the first layer of the scalp, and inside the second layer you can see this is a neurovascular bundle which is passed. It is the first layer, it is the skin. Second layer, it is the connective tissue, and it contains the it divide into the so many fibrous septa. So whenever there is a hemorrhage into the second layer, it is the never extensive, but it is very painful. So here you can see this is a mirror image of the vein. This is the vein of the scalp. So this is the second layer, it is a connective tissue. Third layer, it is the epicranial aponeurosis. It is very tough, and always you have to remember the direction of the epicranial aponeurosis, fiber of the epicranial aponeurosis, which directed anterior to the posterior. So whenever there is a vertical injury to the skull, any injury vertically it occurs, there is a no gap which is seen inside the epicranial aponeurosis. And whenever there is a if it is the transversely it is occurs because the frontalis and occipitalis billis which is inserted inside the epicranial